Welcome to the Commercial Real Estate Mentorship Program. Commercial real estate, the 10 key reasons to invest. Now, investing in commercial real estate is the secret to success for many of the world's most wealthy real estate investors. There's no reason, even as a newbie, that you can't build massive, passive cash flow. And that's what commercial real estate's all about. There's no reason you can't spread your investment risk. If you're investing in single-family residences, when they're empty, they're 100% vacant. When you spread your risk to where you have 3 or 4 units or 10 units or 10 apartments or 100 apartments, you spread your risk, and when one is empty, you only have a small percentage of vacancy. So that's an economic spread of your risk. So I want you to realize that's a great advantage over just doing houses or anything else. There's no reason you can't effectively use leverage. I remind you that a commercial loan does not look at you as the primary source for repayment. It never will. That's why we stress so strongly in this course having the real numbers for the net operating income. If they're depending upon the net operating income to service their debt, they're not looking with the spotlight on you. So even if you're young and you haven't done this and you don't have great experience, if you can find a good property, which they are available, then you can do this. So you need to take the tools and the skill set to do it, to tap into the leverage which you have available, because you can get substantial leverage from a conventional lender. You can get financing from the seller, partial or full, and you can maximize your leverage to make more money. There's no reason you can't build substantial equity, because as you own this property over time, it's going to increase. Rents go up every year. If you have a fixed rate loan and you have increased income, there's no way you can't build up equity. Even if you're on your first property, you can start building up equity. Investing in commercial real estate has several real advantages, and I'm going to go over them step by step, item by item, and give you an insight as to what they're all about. Number one, there's higher income potential. Not just because it's maybe a more expensive building, but the rent per square foot for an apartment building is higher than a house. The rent for an office building is even higher than that. And when you add to it the other things you're going to get in commercial property, like expense reimbursements for utilities, or you're going to have in an office building, triple net. Each tenant in that building, let's say you have a 2-story building and it's only 4,000 square feet. Each one has a floor. Each one will pay 1/2 of all of your property taxes, 1/2 of all of your insurance, and 1/2 of all the maintenance. What apartment building, what house would ever offer you that? Never. It doesn't happen. So you have a higher potential income per square foot. You have a higher potential for a higher net income because they're going to be reimbursing you and having other things that add to your income. Lower vacancy. Again, spread the risk, because when you have an apartment building like this, or an office building, or a shopping center, or a mobile home park, you spread the risk, and therefore you'll have a lower vacancy risk. When you have a single-family house and it's up for rent, you have 100% vacancy. When you have 1 unit out of 20, you only have a 5% vacancy. That's lower risk, clearly. You can rent an office out, you can rent it out, and the good news is lower chance of vacancy. Most office leases are 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. They're not month by month. They're not a 1-year lease, because that way you don't have the turnover. When you have a house and you keep churning and turning it and having to fix it up every time a rotten renter moves out, that makes your life more difficult. Commercial real estate is really a much better sound investment, which you can and will do if you tap into the resources that I'm going to present you. You clearly have a lower vacancy risk because you only have a tenant moves out once every 5 years, not every 5 to 12 months. Makes a big difference. There's less competition for commercial real estate investors. And one of the big reasons is a lot of people, maybe you in your old regime, before you got the idea of how to do this, you're apprehensive. You say, I can't do it. I haven't done it. Well, if your child was going to ride a bicycle and they fell down, would you say don't ride the bicycle? If they ever fell down when they're walking, would you say, or crawling? Whatever. You wouldn't stop them from doing it because there is a chance for you to fall. Well, you're not going to have a chance to fall if you're prudent I mean, there are things that happen in every investment, no question about that. And I'm going to share with you case studies. Some of them may not be typical, but they're real and they're documented. And there's no reason you couldn't do something like that if you reach out and tap into the resources. There's less competition because the world is afraid of commercial real estate, and therefore there is less people you're competing with. There's less competition for real estate investors because there are lots of properties out there and everybody is doing the traditional stuff where they're only focusing on things that are obviously available. If you reach out and you find a motivated seller, it may not even be listed. And you can do that. You can get the database from a Chicago title or any other title company of every vacant property of office buildings or shopping centers or apartments in your city or any city you want to go to. Could you contact them? If you don't ask, you don't get. So there's nobody out there willing to do that, and no one knows how to do it. But I'm going to teach you all of that. There are more flexible sellers because this is not their home. They're not talking about, this is my ancestral home or it's my house and all those things. Different world. They don't have a house they've got to move out of to sell it to you. The sellers are more flexible because this is business. I'm saying that they are not emotional. This is business. This is numbers. If you come up with the numbers make sense and you can justify and rationalize that you've gotten the real numbers and make an intelligent, informed business decision, yes, you can work with a seller if you show them why your deal makes sense. Tax depreciation. You get tax shelter, not only from the building itself, but there's a chance you could do in an apartment building if you chose to do that, or almost in any commercial property if you have a number of things which are tenant improvements and build-outs that could be depreciated quicker and faster. If you were able to break it down, you could actually deduct the apartment building in the same time depreciation with a house. It's less than 30 years. This is really nice, whereas a commercial office building is 39 and a half years. That's a little longer. But if you have an apartment building where you have stoves and refrigerators and microwaves and all those things, those are not written off in 30 years. They can be written off in 5 to 7, which means you can really accelerate your depreciation and get your cash back and shelter the income you're going to get. Because you understand that tax depreciation takes that net operating income plus any triple net features, plus any percentage rent you get from a shopping center, or any reimbursements for the common area maintenance at a shopping center. When you get all that income in, it would be nice to shelter it with depreciation. And that's why depreciation is a huge shelter. The tenants paying the expenses is key. What house do you get reimbursed for the utilities? What house do you get reimbursed for the property taxes, or the insurance, or the maintenance? No, that's not the way it works, but that is the way it works in an office building. The tenants reimburse you. Now, when you have an apartment building, the tenants may be paying the utilities too. You may get it back in the form of they're writing a check or they pay it directly. Same is true for a mobile home park. There are things that you can get. The expenses from a shopping center, each of the tenants have to pay their pro rata portion of the common area maintenance. For all the upkeep, they have to pay it. You're not out anything for that. And if you have a retail lease, which has a percentage lease in it, when their income comes in, they have to pay you a piece of it. Whether it's 2, 3, 4, 7%, I don't know what it's going to be. And it may be over a certain threshold. It could be from $1. Would you like to get a piece of all of their sales on millions of dollars? It won't be millions of dollars for you, but would you mind getting an extra kicker? Expenses and bonuses paid by the tenants. In this shopping center, all the spaces you see along all those stores, all the upkeep and everything else, all that upkeep is reimbursed 100% by each of those tenants in those buildings. And when you have a shopping center like that, you're going to get some pretty good money per square foot, a lot more than a house, even more than an apartment building. So that would be nice. And if they're paying all of the common area maintenance and you get a piece of their sales income, that's killer. Would you like to have some of the sales, gross sales, from this dress store? You could. How about from the various things? All these 3 stories of stores. 3 stories. All of those people paying the day-to-day maintenance, common area, and giving you a piece of their business. I like it. Equity buildup. As you're making your mortgage payment every month, obviously you're going to be picking up increased equity. Some of your payment is going to go to equity. Now, while I don't believe in using the appreciation value in my calculations. I don't. I consider it a bonus. But if you're getting a higher income as rents go up and your debt is fixed, there's no way but that property can go but up in terms of value, which will increase your equity. Solid economic value is real simple because most commercial buildings can be purchased for less than their replacement costs minus their depreciation. They can buy them for less than it costs to build them new. And they provide solid economic value because you're going to have tenants in there who are going to pay you every month. The economics of commercial real estate are based upon the historical, documented net operating income. When you have financials, don't accept pro forma financials from the seller or the broker on the commercial property. You need to get the actual, real, documented net operating income, including the component parts of that, the actual income they get, and all the expenses incurred that they have to pay, including the operating expenses of property tax, personal property tax, real estate property tax, the insurance for both the liability and for the structure for damage, and the repairs and maintenance. And you should have in there your cost of property management. When you have those components in there and all the expenses in there, that is the resulting number when you deduct those from the actual income to come up with net operating income. And yes, that's before debt service because it's never figured with debt service. But it's how much money this property is going to throw off, and that is solid economic value. Net operating income is so critical. You need to get it, and you can get it because the seller or the broker will get it to you when you demonstrate that you're sincere and you're trying to do something to make an intelligent, informed business decision. Therefore, they're going to give it to you. And if they won't, I empower you to invoke my 4-letter word. Next. Go on to the next one. If they won't give you the truth and the proof, next it. Go on. You don't have time to waste on that. Real estate is an amazing, solid, it's tangible, it's real, it has value, and the building has value. The land has value. The income has value. That's a triple threat. You've got the hard assets, you've got the income, and you've got the kicker, percentage rent of reimbursement for triple net leases. All of those things give you solid economic value. You get massive leverage because you're going to be able to finance this. And if you're creative, you're going to be able to finance it significantly and get even more leverage. Now, whether you combine some debt and some equity or some structuring, absolutely. Building up massive passive income through massive leverage is a way you can combine with a fixed rate long-term loan, at least 5, 7, 10 years or even longer, with fixed rate financing and partial or even full seller financing. You're going to have increased value as these rents go up. It gives you massive, massive leverage. You have long-term capital appreciation. That means that when you buy the building over time, the value is going to go up and the income should be going up as well because rents keep going up. Leases keep going up. Expenses keep going up. When you get reimbursed for them and you're not paying them out, it doesn't erode your income. That is a really, really double whammy for you to get. You can build your increased cash flow, build long-term massive passive income, and the appreciation is really just frosting on the cake. But I'll take it. I love it. This is what it's all about, helping you become an informed, intelligent commercial real estate investor. Take care.